Good evening and welcome to the May 16th edition of the Amelia Village Council meeting. We call this meeting to order at 7:08 p.m. Ask the fiscal officer for a roll call.
Derek?
Here.
Todd?
Here.
Renee?
Here.
Bob?
Hey.
Jim? He is absent. Chuck?
Here.
And Leroy?
I'm here. Let's all stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening once again and welcome to the May 16th edition of the Amelia Village Council meeting. Let the record show that council has received their packets in advance of tonight's meeting and an opportunity to review the contents. Also like to welcome those who are in the audience tonight and those who may be viewing this meeting on Conroe County Communications Channel 22 or via the Amelia Village website. We encourage your input and attendance, and we'd love to hear from you at every opportunity. Our first item on the agenda this evening is the approval of the previous meeting minutes. I'll entertain a motion from council at this time.
I'll make a motion to accept them. May 2nd.
Second.
Okay, discussion? I would qualify, thank you. These are for the May 2nd council meeting. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Derek?
Yay.
Todd?
Yay.
Renee?
Yay.
Bob?
Yay.
Chuck?
Yay.
Passes.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda this evening is the mayor's report. Presented today, Monday, May 16, 2011. Under the headings of meetings, I've been involved in several meetings and have had correspondence with many people on behalf of the Amelia Village since the last meeting, including but not limited to the following: Police Chief Suker, representatives from UT Fire Department, Acting Fiscal Officer, he's not acting anymore, at least I hope not, Fiscal Officer Kevin Pyle, Village Solicitor Laura Abrams, Pat Maple from CDS Engineering, Vice Mayor Bob Pollitt, village staff and police personnel, as well as village residents. Under the heading of zoning, we continue to struggle to stay on top of zoning issues within the village. With current staffing levels and workload, it's all we can do to keep up with responding to resident complaints and questions. As I drive through the community, I see many violations that are going unenforced. It's not my wish that our residents be cited for any violation, only that there be compliance. That being said, I have growing concerns that if this issue continues to go unattended, it will be impossible to get a hand on it in the future. Because we're basically putting out fires and there's no opportunity to engage in proactive enforcement, I have concerns at this point that A, any proactive enforcement at this point could be considered selective enforcement, and B, as long as these issues continue to go unattended to, the curb appeal of our village is degraded, and perhaps so are the home values. In an economy where home values are already being affected, anything that can be done to keep values up could have a positive effect, or at least not a detrimental effect. I'd like to urge council to explore options for solving this very important issue. Under the heading of the Morse House, the ad for bids was placed in the Cincinnati Enquirer starting May 9 and will run for 5 consecutive Mondays, with the last one on June 6th. Bids will be accepted up until 4 p.m. on June 20th. So far, no packets have been picked up. Under the heading of sidewalk policy and bond status, we are still researching. That's in progress. Under the heading of Church Street grant application and street paving plan. At the April 18, 2011 council meeting, Mayor Ellington presented his report on the application for funding to repave Church Street. A previous application has been submitted, but at that time Amelia did not have sufficient funds to pay for its matching fund. The Finance Committee was asked to look into possible financing options, including debt. The next scheduled Finance Committee meeting was scheduled for May 2nd at 6 p.m. but did not occur. On May 13th, I asked the Finance Committee via email if the meeting could be held on Monday, May 16, 2011. The deadline for application for submittal is in June. At this time, I'd like to open the floor to council and to the finance committee with suggestions on how to proceed.
Why are you looking at me?
We did have a finance committee meeting tonight.
Committee meeting, that's right.
Our fearless leader was not here,
Until everybody else showed up.
My bad.
and we did discuss the Church Street grant application, and it was our recommendation, since most of the legwork was already done previously, and we just need to have CDS go back through the grant application, update to the dates and possibly on the cost a little bit, that we would recommend to council tonight that we go ahead with having CDS prepare the grant application with a cost not to exceed, I believe it was $2,500.
Which we hopefully and think that would be in that general area.
How much is that going to put us? Do we have any idea how much it's going to cost us? Our matching part of the grant was going to be.
Just rough numbers, it was between 70 and 80. And we need to get the grant application in process in order to even have a chance. But then we're going to look at finance options after we get the grant application
Assuming
in the
we're taking
pipeline.
out a loan or something.
Possibly. Don't know. It's just, in order for us to even get a chance at the grant, we need to get something going.
Yeah, time's running out.
And then look at different options. We even kicked around tonight, possibly looking at the salt barn property, possibly getting an evaluation on that, and see if that might be surplus to our needs now. So we've got some options that we were discussing tonight, but we do need to get the grant application in process.
I don't see how we can. Well, the Morse house sold so well. I don't see why we would want to unload more property.
Well, it's a little bit different, situation, versus that. I mean, say a landscaper or somebody like that would love to have that property with those buildings and things already there. It's a little bit different situation than the Morse house.
I don't know. I just don't see us unloading more property, especially with us not even knowing what it's going to mean to be a city. What if we need a fire department? It's a nice big building there. Maybe we could put some new doors in it. Got a fire garage.
It won't house.
They won't
No,
hold
I don't know.
anything like that.
It won't even house
No.
It would
Okay.
house
I don't
a
know.
one-ton
I-
truck maybe.
Never happened.
I don't know.
But that's just the things
Yeah.
that we discussed tonight.
The other part of that discussion was that while the committee was making the recommendation to ask CDS to proceed with the preliminary engineering work, was also to ask the fiscal officer to explore lending opportunities in the neighborhood of $70,000, which is roughly what the grant application was the last time. What our matching dollars that were needed were the last time.
Yeah, the whole project was in the $800,000.
Right. So it'd be just to get a ballpark idea all the way around. So we have a recommendation on the floor from the Finance Committee. Entertain any other discussion on that subject or motion?
Can Derek make, or does somebody else besides?
So it'd be nice if somebody else
Yeah.
besides us.
Okay. Make a motion that we, what do we need?
Pursue.
Thank you.
That's all right.
Pursue the grant application? Is that what we're doing?
First, you want to approve CDS to complete the preliminary engineering work for the grant application for a cost not to exceed $2,500.
That's what I want to do. Get that?
So the $2,500 was just for CDS? I thought that included the claim application fee too and everything.
Well, that's yet to be seen.
So we don't even know what the grant application fee is gonna be.
Well, we didn't pay a grant application fee.
It's
the
whatever
last time.
CDS needs
Yeah.
To do the
Yes.
thing.
to redo the documents.
They've already done most of the engineering. It just sort of has to be reviewed, updated for whatever current specs and current changes need to be made.
And anything that you've invested in this project over the past few years, if you don't try again in the grant, you've kind of wasted, so.
It's definitely a much needed thing. I'll second your motion on that.
Hey, thanks.
We really don't know if we're gonna get it, we just hope. I mean, this is preliminary.
Let's throw it out to see if we get something back.
Any other discussion before we move to a roll call? Roll call, please.
Derek,
Yay.
Todd,
Yay.
Renee,
Yay.
Bob,
Yay.
Chuck.
No. No.
Passes 4-1.
The other part of that council's or the finance committee's recommendation would include directing the fiscal officer to explore finance or financing opportunities for such a project. Would entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second.
You have that, Kevin? Okay, any discussion before we move to a roll call?
I mean, the only thing I want to say is that I think it's a bad idea to go and take out a loan, especially when we're projecting our income to be doing this. I mean, I don't think that's a smart move. It's kind of part of the reason why I'm against moving forward with it in the first place. So that's all for what it's worth.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Derek,
Yay.
Todd,
Yay.
Renee,
Yay.
Bob,
Yay.
Chuck.
No.
4-1 passes.
Next item I have on my report is on further discussion. Mr. Rowland from Public Works was asked at a previous meeting to conduct at least a preliminary inventory and evaluation of all streets within Amelia Village in regards to condition, need for repair, and establish at least a preliminary street paving plan. Rick, have you had any opportunity to begin any?
I've began it, yeah, I've got several streets
Okay.
color coded to which type of work they're going to be needing.
Okay.
I should have it wrapped up by next meeting for you.
Okay. Thank you. Council, any questions for Rick on that? All right. Next item I have is Amelia Village Yard Sale has been scheduled for June 3rd, 4th, and 5th. The yard sale is village-wide. No yard sale permits are required. And typically very well attended. And for anything that you can't sell at the yard sale, you can get rid of at Amelia Junk Day,
Yeah, junk day.
which has been scheduled for the following weekend for June the 11th. We ask that items be placed at the curb the evening of the 10th. There's two reasons for that. Rumpke comes very early in the morning.
Yes, he do.
And the other reason is that a lot of what gets put out at the curb will not be there, and we won't have to pay for somebody to pick it up, because the scrappers will come through and get a
Oh, yeah.
lot of it. And so it's that much less that we have to pay for it, because we pay for it by tonnage. Okay. Next item on the agenda this evening is the search for a new police chief. The ad has been placed on careerbuilder.com. We've received 4 resumes. I believe today we received 2 more. The deadline for receiving resumes is May the 23rd. Next item I have on my report is a preliminary meeting with Cumberland County Sheriff's Department. As per council's direction, I met with Chief Deputy Rick Combs at the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office on Wednesday, May 11, regarding the possibility of contracting for police service. The meeting lasted roughly 2 hours. I'm still in the process of preparing statistics and information to submit to the county so the comprehensive quote can be provided. The goal is to be prepared to provide a very thorough report regarding all aspects of the quote at the first meeting in June. We'll open the floor to any questions from council at this time regarding that subject.
Is that going to continue with the emails that you received today? I mean, are they going to continue with that, or do we
Well,
have
that's just-
to?
As I said in the email, we'll act at council's direction. It's as simple as that. Council directs me to continue. I know the criteria in which they're willing to continue. And so do you. So I'll act based on your direction.
Well, the only thing there is, if I was sitting in the sheriff's office, I wouldn't want to get too deep into it until I knew exactly what the village was going to do.
That's exactly what he's saying. He doesn't want to have a multi-jurisdictional, we're better than you are. He doesn't, he feels as though it doesn't benefit anyone.
No, but I mean, we haven't made that decision that we're going to outsource it, I mean.
And you can't make that decision until you have the answers to the questions. I guess,
Yeah.
Bob, you had brought up Pierce Township
Oh, yeah,
previously.
yeah.
And I know the mayor was going to investigate if that's even an option.
I asked Laura to do the research on how the Ohio Revised Code stands on that, and I believe you've done the research, Laura?
Yeah, it's legally possible to contract with Pierce Township.
I just talked to the police chief, thinking of the fire department, to see if they would be willing to, if we were going to outsource it, they would be willing to entertain the thought of he would want to do
The county?
anything like that.
The county? Talk, you mean talk to the
I talked
township?
to the police chief in Pierce Township,
You did?
yes,
Oh, okay.
but not anything other than the fact, if we made the decision to outsource it, would they be interested in doing anything about it? And he said that as long as the decision is not made, that yes, we are, or no, we're not, that there's a moot question, which I thought was pretty good. You can't expect him, or the sheriff either, to go to all the trouble of setting it all up, and we are not going to decide to do it. That was my thinking.
Well, they have to provide some kind of information. You can't just go in
Well, yeah, but
and say, yeah, we're going to do this, and we have nothing to compare it to, no comparables.
well, as the sheriff said, they're not going to get it into any you, me, and them operation. It's either that or it. I mean, what I'm trying to say here, there's no competitive. It's not a competitive
Well,
thing.
that's not necessarily what we're trying to investigate. We want to know what we would get for, so we have a general idea of the cost, because we were provided that previously from the sheriff's department, just a general idea. But we have to know what we're going to be provided with, I've heard a couple different things, the mayor's probably talked to a couple different people, and it's like, okay, if your sheriff deputy calls in sick, you don't have anybody. Well, that wouldn't fly. They've got to provide an alternate person, just like we would have to do here ourselves,
What we discussed was, in the meeting, was they indicated that with the initial proposal, the initial informal proposal of 4 deputies running on 12-hour shifts, overlapping, that if a deputy called in sick or had a vacation day or whatever, that shift would just be uncovered. And only, as I understood it, the only times that he would be obligated under the contract to fill those slots is if that vacancy was for more than 3 days, or for 3 days or more. In other words, if it was a scheduled 3 days off, we would have to backfill those positions. his recommendation was if council is interested in making sure that there are no gaps in coverage, that you compare a proposal for 5 officers or 5 deputies versus 4 deputies. The initial thinking was 4 deputies running 12-hour shifts overlapping, and a 5th deputy at an 8 to 10 hour shift. I have no figures yet on the 5 deputy option, and no finite figures even on the 4th deputy option because of the content of the email that we received today. What I did is after our meeting, I drew up about a 4-page bullet point list of everything that we discussed, sitting on my desk right now. And before I wanted to wait to present it to council until I've sent it to the Claremont County Sheriff's Office, asked them to confirm that because we were going rapid fire question and answer, and I was taking notes at my best rate. So what I wanted to do was send that to the Claremont County Sheriff's Office and say, could you just confirm for me that this is what we talked about? And once I have the final version back from them, then I'll present it to council. I didn't want to present anything to council that was not factual or not as I understood it. So I wanted to make sure I avoided that. So while I was wrapping up the report today is when I got the email from the Sheriff's Office. And Chief Deputy Combs indicated to me in the meeting he was not interested at all in having any drama between police agencies, and he doesn't want there to be any competitive. He said if you're going to shop it like that, just not be involved. So call us if you need us, but he doesn't think it's in the best interest of the department, of neither department, to have a very public who's better and who's worse.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Well, I don't think it's a matter of who's better. We're just trying to figure out what we get
I'm just telling you what he said.
for our money. That's what we want to know before we can even make a decision. Have we talked to the township administrator and Pierce, or?
I haven't spoken. I haven't
No.
initiated any contact. I'm going to wait until I
I just
have.
want to see if you had any interest in it at all. And he didn't show any interest. But I was over there, it made me really feel bad when I went over there to their headquarters, and they've got this, like a stop shed running across the back of their building, all these police cruisers. They got enough police cruisers to last for 20 years.
You're
But
saying that he wasn't interested in it?
Well, that's
I
the
thought
chief, right? That wasn't the administrator.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, because I didn't see any reason to go to the higher brass, because if nobody, if the police chief's not interested in it, as far as I'm concerned, that's it. Because now the administrator would, he could force him, but I don't think they want anything to do with it at all. That was my figure, my taking from the conversation.
So that almost pushes you to the sheriff's department then.
Yeah. Of course, they didn't say they wanted it either until we said, do you want it? Could we take this over? Or could you take this
I
over?
think as much as anything, they just don't want to compete necessarily against Pierce
No,
Township.
no.
That's what their theory
I can
is.
see their point in that.
Which is fine, but
Yeah.
you still have to lay out on the table your general cost, what you're going to perform for that cost. I mean, we have no idea yet.
Yeah, they're
and that's
willing-
what you're going back
Yeah.
with your bullet points.
Right,
sure,
they're
but-
willing to provide that. They just don't want to get into a bidding
Yeah,
situation,
right.
a very public bidding situation. They just would rather just avoid that.
Do we dictate, or that might be too strong a word, that what we would like to have as far as running the police department, or not being the police department? Do you have
As
any?
far as staff,
Yeah, I mean, you say, we would want this, this, and this, and this.
Well, for me, it's dictated by the dollars that we've got and how much service that'll buy. And there's a whole lot of logistical issues, a whole lot of logistical concerns, some legal concerns, dispatch issues. There's a whole lot.
I can imagine.
There's a whole lot to be concerned about and worried about. But basically what I did was take our initial discussion, 4 deputies, and increase it to wanting to see live numbers on 4 deputies and live numbers on 5 deputies. Because according to Chief Deputy Combs, those were the options that would provide 24/7 coverage and would eliminate gaps in coverage. Also with that 5th officer, or 5th deputy, it was his opinion that person would probably be scheduled during the peak, the times when we have the greatest amount of calls for service, and thereby perhaps having 2 officers during those times. All the very fine tuning of it is. My impression of the conversation was that once the Claremont County Sheriff's Department had a contract with the village, the mayor acts as a liaison with the department or with the sheriff's office. There could be one of the deputies could attend council meetings and provide very general information, but for the most part, it would basically remain an in-house Claremont County operation. We would receive very generalized reports. If more detailed reports were required by council, it would just come with an administration fee. But a lot of that is laid out in the document that I prepared. It just depends on what council's direction is, really.
I don't want to get into a bidding war either. It sounds to me, if I'm with Derek, we're just trying to get facts and numbers. I'm comfortable with just talking to them and not looking elsewhere. Seeing what they're going to offer us as far as the officers and what it's going to cost. And then looking at what it cost us to do it here versus, the benefit of having in-house officers, which has a lot of benefits to it that we're not going to get from them. Versus,
exactly right. That's just my opinion. There's a great big difference between contracting with the county and having our own police department. And the scales are going to tip depending on your perspective. I certainly like having our own department. I think finances play a major role in where we're at right now. So if council is comfortable making an assurance to the Claremont County Sheriff's Office that you're not exploring any other options, I'm happy to follow up with the meeting, and I can provide greater detail at the next meeting.
I'd like to make a motion that we explore exclusively contracting with the Claremont County Sheriff's Department.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion?
And again, that's not saying we're looking to get rid of our police department by no means. It's just, it's a financial.
Yeah, I consider that a last resort.
Oh, yeah. But we've got to know, where we would stand versus
yeah,
one versus
like I
the
said,
other.
it's nice to know that we got it in the back pocket.
With me, it really kind of scares me a little bit, because I don't see how getting 2 quotes is creating a bidding war. Maybe I'm just lost on that, because all we're looking for is rough numbers. This is preliminary fact finding. We have.
No, we're looking for hard and fast numbers.
Well, we're looking for information, and I don't see why cutting out and not getting why limiting ourselves in the amount of information we receive is anyhow helps us. I mean, that's the part I'm trying to get around. And if Pierce Township, we're sure Pierce Township is absolutely not interested, well, then that makes life easy. I was